Hello and welcome to another episode of UA Overtime. I'm your host Spencer Pesce, and with me today is Dylan, Steve, and Megan. Today we have a variety of topics we're going to talk about, starting off with the NBA. Originally we were going to talk about if the Knicks could keep their streak going into the playoffs, but sadly last night they were stopped by the Bulls. So we're going to talk about if they can pick it back up and go into the playoffs with some fire. So Dylan, what do you think is going to happen with the Knicks in the playoffs?
All right, the streak ended, and that's fine. They can move on from it now. They don't have to worry about winning every game. It's just like the Heat. They can get past just winning it, focus on winning every game. And now the Knicks need to shift their focus to getting their front court completely healthy. The only way they're going to be able to contend against the Heat in the playoffs is if Tyson Chandler is 100%. And another player, Marcus Camby, if he can stay healthy in the playoffs, he can have an impact. We all know Melo was played out of his mind the last month. He's now in first place for the scoring title. But we know he can score in the regular season. It comes down to him playing well in the playoffs. He doesn't have a great playoff career, and this is the year he needs to go out, show that he's a great player, prove he's top 5, and actually go deep into the playoffs with the Knicks. But the problem with that is they have the toughest matchup in the first round, in my opinion, of the top seeds. They're stuck against the Boston Celtics. We saw what the Celtics did last year. They got deep into the playoffs and were one game away from beating the Heat and going to the finals. So the Knicks have to play great from the start of the playoffs, and they're going to have to play great throughout because they're going to end up having to play either the Pacers, and then if they get to the finals, they're going to probably have to play the Heat. Well, guaranteed they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to have to play the Heat. So the Knicks need to get it all together, need to lock it up, and a fun fact I have with a 13-game win streak, the 2 other times the Knicks have had a 13-game win streak in the regular season, they made it to the finals both times. I'm not saying they're going to make the finals, I'm just saying it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
All right, Megan.
All right, well, you're getting us all excited over here, but it's nice that the streak ended because, like the Heat, they can return to like normalcy almost and just go about their games one by one. We know Carmelo Anthony's going to continue to play outstanding. He had 53 touches in the game last night, and that shows that what an impact he has. With Chandler and Camby, if they come back, they're going to be moving forward even stronger. So going up against the Celtics, I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Knicks overall could beat them.
All right, and Steve?
Well, I hate the Knicks, so I'm going to be honest. I'm very cynical when it comes to them, but I can see them beating the Celtics. I honestly think the Pacers are going to take them out in the second round. I think they're the more physical team. Roy Hibbert down low will be a tough matchup for Tyson Chandler. Carmelo Anthony's only made it out of the first round of the playoffs once. So, as a team leader, I don't know if I buy him yet. I don't know if that's cynical. I'm sorry, but I don't buy him as a team leader. Last night he had a shot to put the game away in regulation. He couldn't do it. So, can he be that closer in the playoffs is yet to be seen. So I'm not going to pick that in the Knicks to really make a run.
I have to agree. We've seen Melo be the closer in the regular season many times, but when it comes to playoffs, he's got to step up this year.
Yeah.
And him and J.R. Smith are going to be the keys. J.R.'s been shooting out of his mind lately, too. He's playing great. If he falls off in the playoffs, the Knicks have no chance of going deep. It's going to come down to him and Melo and J.R. Smith.
Well, I'm going to play the role as the biased Knicks fan. I think they're winning the finals.
Oh, wow.
The only trouble I see them having is with the Bulls because the Bulls have given them trouble all year. But call me crazy. If Derrick Rose comes back, I have a feeling he's going to throw off the chemistry of the Bulls because Bulls have been playing extremely well without him. If he comes back and he's not the same as he used to be, because he can't just come back and cold turkey and just kill it in the playoffs. No. If he does, then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I see them beating the Heat in the conference finals. They've played the Heat well all year.
I'll call you crazy for that.
Well, all right, call me crazy. They've played the Heat well all year, with or without LeBron James. So whatever the Heat throw at them, I think the Knicks will take. They've lived and died by the 3 this whole season. So if they can continue shooting out of their minds, then I see them taking it all the way. Staying with the NBA, though, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who have the 8th seed right now with 3 games left in the season. So do all you guys think they can hold on to the 8th seed? Steve, what do you think?
I think they'll hold on to it. I think they're too talented not to make the playoffs. I think this has been a disaster from the start. I think they made a mistake letting go of Mike Brown that early. But I think Kobe is not going to allow this team to miss the playoffs. He scored 47 the other night in a huge game against the Trailblazers. Kobe's not going to allow them to miss the playoffs. They'll hang on to the 8th, and they could be a scary team. They're really talented. They could give the Thunder a little run, but they're not going to beat them. They'll make the playoffs, though.
All right. And Megan?
I definitely agree with what you're saying because with Kobe, he's always stepped up in the playoffs. He's always been that leader to lead his team to, the conference finals or something like that. So I think that we're going to see them hold on to the spot.
All right, and Dylan?
A couple weeks ago, Kobe guaranteed the Lakers would make the playoffs, and all he's done since then is play at an MVP level. In the last 6 games, the Lakers are 5-1. Kobe's averaging 45 minutes a game, 28 points a game, 9 assists a game. He's going out there, he's giving it all, he's putting his whole heart into making the playoffs. They're definitely going to hold on. And does anyone want to see the Jazz make the 8th seed and then get swept by the Thunder in the first round? I'm not saying the Lakers would beat the Thunder, just like Steve said, but they can play hard with them. Who doesn't want to see Kobe versus Durant in the first round? It's a great way to start off the playoffs. It'll be entertaining. The playoffs won't be the same without the Mamba. The Lakers are going to hold on. They're going to make the playoffs.
That's going to do it for our first quarter here. We're going to come back and talk more NBA. Stay tuned. Welcome back. For our second quarter debate, we're going to continue with the NBA and talk about our playoff predictions and who we think is going to make a run and eventually what the final matchup was going to be. So, Dylan, start us off.
For the East, this is easy. I'm picking the Heat. They're the best team in the NBA. They have the best player on the planet in LeBron James. He's a different animal since that loss to the Mavericks in the finals. He's clutch now. He's not afraid of the big shot. I think they're going to run through the East. Hopefully the Knicks can give them some trouble, but I don't see that happening. I think the Heat make the finals. In the West, it's a lot closer. Like the West is every year. There's always a couple of teams that have a legitimate chance to make the finals. You got the Spurs, the Grizzlies, the Clippers, the Thunder. And the team I was really looking forward to watching were the Nuggets. They had a long win streak. They're a great, deep team. They play great team basketball. But the loss of Danilo Gallinari to a torn ACL is going to be so huge in the playoffs. He was averaging 16 and 5, and I would have picked the Nuggets if that injury did not happen. But because it did, I'm going to have to go with the number 1 seed Thunder. I thought the Thunder were going to fall off this year when they traded James Harden, but they haven't skipped a beat. They traded for Kevin Martin. He's filled in perfectly. He's done well. He's filled in for Harden. Durant took his game to another level. I think the Thunder make it through the playoffs. It's a rematch of the finals of last year, and I don't see the Heat losing a series, so I have the Heat winning it again.
All right, and Megan.
I think it's also going to be a rematch because going with the numbers, both of these number 1 teams have great chances of moving forward with Durant at the top of his game, Westbrook beside him. But Durant has some, I want to say, revenge on LeBron, and I think that turmoil is like going to kick it up a notch. And I would really like to see them go head-to-head again with the Heat. You have LeBron, Bosh, Wade, also Ray Allen coming off the bench. They have both these teams have so many weapons that I don't see the Spurs, the Pacers, the Knicks. Unfortunately, I don't see them contending against these number 1 teams.
All right, Steve.
Like everybody else in the free world, have the Heat repeating. I said last year that I thought this was going to start. The Heat were going to win 3 in a row, and I'm going to stand by that. They only got better with adding Ray Allen. Rashard Lewis coming off the bench, too, is a good player. You know, they have a deep bench. They have the best starting lineup with the big 3. And out west, I think this is the last run for the Spurs. I think the Spurs make it to the conference finals. I think without James Harden, that's a big loss for the Thunder. I think, like you said, Kevin Martin's played well, but when Durant was on the bench, Harden was always able to take over those minutes and take over a game while Durant was on the bench. And sometimes I don't trust Russell Westbrook. He takes too many shots, and I think against the Spurs, Tony Parker can get in his head a little bit, and he can start doing the things Russell Westbrook does late in games, take too many shots, and that's bad when you have Kevin Durant because he's got to be the guy taking shots. And as a sleeper, I just got to say, I think the Celtics can make a run deep in the Eastern Conference.
Hate on those Knicks.
All right. I have to agree with everybody here. I agree with Dylan. I think the Nuggets could have made a run if Gallo didn't get hurt. I also think the Grizzlies could have made a run if they didn't trade Rudy Gay. Of course, I'm taking the Knicks, like I said, because I'm a biased New York sports fan. But I'm also a very historical sports fan. So I want to see a 99 finals rematch between the Knicks and the Spurs, with the Knicks coming out on top. The Spurs, like Steve said, they are always good. They're always making a run. The Thunder don't have James Harden. The Spurs still have Manu Ginobili coming off the bench, so they have their 6-man scorer. But the Thunder only have their 2 superstars. With Russell Westbrook, he's playing out of his mind this season. But in the playoffs, it's a whole different story. So I see the Spurs being the veteran team, taking the Thunder out. That's going to do it, though, for our second quarter debate. We're going to come back, talk about our reactions to the NCAA basketball tournament. Stay tuned.
Hey, what it do? It's your player partner, 2 Chainz. On April 11th, I will be shutting the city down.
Welcome back. For our third quarter debate, we're going to talk about the NCAA basketball title game, in which Louisville beat the Michigan Wolverines, and our reactions to that game. So, Steve, start us off.
Well, as we learned from last episode, that I know nothing about March Madness basketball. My bracket was awful. So, you know what? I'll chalk it up to Louisville being really the team of destiny. Like, one of their best players goes down, and it really ignites the team. Like, they wanted to win it for Kevin Ware. And you saw a team play inspired. That the way they played that pressure defense, they were unstoppable. I mean, teams, Wichita State later on in the games, Michigan, they couldn't move the ball. They were all on top of them. And, you know, Michigan had a great run. But Louisville was the only one seed to make it to the Final Four in a wacky tournament. And, you know, you got to give it up to Rick Pitino. I think last year with Calipari winning it, finally getting his title, you know, everybody was talking about how great a coach John Calipari is, and we kind of forgot how good Rick Pitino is. He's taken many different programs deep into the tournament. And now, there was an argument, was he a top 10 NCAA basketball coach? I think there's no doubt.
All right, Megan.
Yeah, definitely with Rick Pitino leading you as a team, you're going to go far. He's a great coach. But also when he has players like Peyton Siva, Russ Smith, you have Hancock coming off the bench who had 22 points in that game and was named the most outstanding player. When you have a motivational factor like Siva and all of those other players, you're going to win a championship. Yes, Michigan had Trey Burke, and Trey Burke is one of the top. He's going to be like one of the top people going into the NBA, and you're going to want to look out for him. But he only had 24 points, and yeah, that doesn't seem like it seems like a good number, but he only played 6 minutes in the first half. If he played more than 6 minutes in the first half, you could have seen this game going in overtime maybe, or having like a different factor coming out of it. So you have to give it up. You have to give it up to Louisville. They played an overall great game.
All right, and Dylan?
Like Steve said, we know nothing about picking brackets. I got a second chance last week after my bracket sucked, and I picked Kansas and Duke in the championship game, and then they immediately got knocked out, so I don't know what I was doing. But I wasn't rooting for either team Monday night, but I was really happy to see Rick Pitino and Louisville get the job done. Pitino now cements himself. I've said it before on the show. I think he's the best coach in college basketball right now. He's the first coach ever to win a title at two different schools. First coach ever to do that, and he just coached them. They were the better team. And they proved it on Monday. They managed the Spike Albrecht stretch where he just went off. They handled that, and then Luke Hancock, like Megan said, was the most outstanding player. He deserved it. 22 points in that game, and he scored 14 in a row at one point to give him the lead going into half. And my issue with Michigan was the coach completely mishandled the clock management, foul management, and the player minutes. Like you said, Trey Burke didn't get enough minutes in the first half, and Spike Albrecht should not have played as much as he did in the second half. He's a streaky player. He averaged 2 points a game this season. He got 17 in the first half. You should have been happy with that. You put too much pressure on him going into the second half, and he got 0 points. And that was a big chance that Michigan had going into the half with a close game. They had a chance to take the lead. They blew a bunch of opportunities, and Louisville, the better team, more consistent, betterly coached team, they won the game, and they deserved it.
I mean, Michigan's just lucky that Chris Webber didn't call a timeout in the stands. But I have to say, this was a very wacky tournament. I didn't fill out a bracket because I just forgot to. I was pulling for Gonzaga, my boy John Stockton's alma mater the whole time, and they got knocked out by Wichita State. So to see Louisville, as Steve summed it up, he couldn't have said it better. The team of destiny. Kevin Ware goes down. He shot lights out for them all season. You lose a great player. And everyone expected, them to fold over and lose, and they just kept it going. They beat Michigan, led by the best player of the year, Trey Burke, and it was just it's a real heartwarming story to see Louisville come out on top for their fallen player, their fallen brother. That's going to do it for our third quarter. We're going to come back in the fourth quarter now and talk about baseball. Stay tuned. Welcome back. For our fourth quarter debate, we're going to talk about baseball and the MLB's opening first couple of weeks. Our thoughts, our reactions, maybe a little bit of predictions of what's going on right now. But Dylan, start us off with what you think's going on.
I'm going to stick with New York baseball. Based on the expectations I had for the Yankees coming into the season, I think they were going to start off that strong. I'm actually happy with how they've started off. They lost all that power to injuries and the free agency in the offseason. And right now they're second in the major leagues in home runs. So they're still hitting the ball even without Teixeira, Jeter, Granderson, Swisher, all those guys. One thing I'm really happy about, they're pitching really well, and the all-season acquisitions of Vernon Wells, Travis Hafner, and Kevin Youkilis are all paying off right now. They're all hitting above 300. They're hitting in the middle of the lineup. They're big parts of the team right now. And Robinson Cano started off slow, but he crushed the ball his last two games. If he can get hot, the Yankees they can stay within a good distance of the AL East lead until those injured players like Granderson, Jeter, and Teixeira come back. I think the Yankees can contend all year. I'm happy with what I've seen from the Yankees so far. When it comes to the Mets, if you're a Mets fan, don't expect the playoffs because it's not going to happen. They're in a division with the Nationals. Sorry, Steve. They're in a division with the Nationals, the Braves, and the Phillies. Right now, the Mets are a young team. They're looking to find the right pieces for the future, and they have some of those pieces. They have their captain, David Wright, who's still in his prime. He's going to be good for a bunch more years. And if I'm a Mets fan, I'm happy about the young starting pitching. Matt Harvey has looked dominant so far. He's looked like he's going to take over as the ace spot that Johan Santana and R.A. Dickey left. They left that void, and Harvey stepping up. And they pair that with Jonathan Neese. They got 2 young starting pitchers right now. And then they have Zach Wheeler in the minor leagues, who's one of the top pitching prospects in all of the league. In a couple of years, when that staff's established, they're going to have one of the best 1-2-3s in baseball of young pitchers for the next decade. Mets fans, you have some stuff to look forward to, but don't look for the playoffs because it ain't happening this year.
All right, and Megan, what
All
do you think?
To add to the Mets, I agree completely. They're still rebuilding. We've said it how many times. They're in a rebuilding process right now. And I think they're going to continue to get better. We have seen them. I think that they're 5-4 right now, so that they're not doing horrible. But I still think that they're going to need to pick it up in order to be a contender. But the Yankees, we underestimated the Yankees. With those players, Hefner, Vernon Wells, and Youkilis, they are picking up the slack. And Youkilis is hitting just about the same as Nick Swisher did. Like, developing the stats that I looked at, they're hitting almost the same. So they're not missing anything there. And when you see all those players that Dylan named coming back, they're going to be stronger, and you're still going to have those. You're still going to have Wells, Youkilis, and Hefner on the bench or in the roster, so we can pull them up if one of the players isn't 100%. So I think that we underestimated them, and hopefully they're going to continue to be strong in this opening season. But you can't rule out any teams yet because. Well, maybe the Mets, but you can't rule out many teams yet because it's the first few weeks of baseball. So I think we're gonna continue to watch and see what goes on.
All right, Steve.
To quote the great Jim Moore, playoffs? What are we doing talking about playoffs? It's 9 games into the season. Listen, I don't think any Met fan picked the Mets to go to the playoffs. I don't know why you guys brought that up.
I said don't hope for the playoffs.
You know what? I wasn't hoping for it to begin with. You got to kill my hopes already. But no, they have a good future, yeah. You know, I wouldn't read too much into what we're seeing, though, 9 games in. I don't think the playoffs are in the cards for the Yankees either. I think the Yankees, the AL East is the toughest division
Blue Jays
in baseball
aren't.
this year.
They're not playing as well as we thought they
we're
would.
9 games in.
I agree,
We're
but
9
that's all we
games
can
in,
judge
man.
off of is 9 games.
Okay. Right, but I think I don't think R.A. Dickey's going to have an 8 ERA the whole year. I don't think
He's not going to have a great year in the AL East.
you know what? I'm starting to backtrack on my Cy Young talk from R.A.
Yeah, but
Dickey.
there's so much hype for him to be such a good pitcher.
He was in the NL last year. He's in the AL East, one of the toughest divisions in baseball
Tim
history.
Wakefield threw a knuckleball
Completely
and was very
different.
And he had a
successful in the
4
AL
ERA
East.
and behind a great
He won 20
offense.
games a couple times.
He didn't have a great ERA, though. He didn't dominate.
Okay.
He was behind a good team.
And you're not going to see him win that many games this year in the AL.
But you think the Yankees are surely going to the
No.
playoffs?
I'm saying I'm happy.
So what I'm saying is it's too early to talk playoffs.
I had terrible expectations for the Yankees, and they started off better than I thought they would. And when they're completely healthy, they're going to have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs.
I agree, but I still don't think they're going to.
Oh, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to make it at all.
Okay.
No.
But I still think it's too early to talk playoffs.
Fair
9
enough.
games
Fair
into the season.
Fair enough. As everyone says, it's too early in the baseball season to really talk about what's going on. But I have to focus on, I have a grievance to pick with the New York Yankees. I've been a season ticket holder for 5 years. For the first time, I got opening day tickets, and it was probably the worst baseball game I've ever been to in 3 years. I would have traded all 12 of my tickets to go to that third game where Andy threw a gem and Mo came in to save. That's a classic Yankees game. Would have loved to see that. I think the Yankees are doing well. I'm going to stay with the Yankees too. I think the Yankees are doing well, much better than we expected them to do. They do have a bunch of no-names out there. This is a Yankees lineup that no one is going to know the guys' names. There's a bunch of guys here and there. But they do have some solid veterans that no one really wants to talk about. They picked up Lyle Overbay, who I've been a big Lyle Overbay fan for years. He's a very solid ball player. They got Travis Hafner, who can play the DH. He's a power hitter. He can pitch hit, probably get a couple of pitch hit home runs here and there.
And rake it down right field,
I
too.
think, I know my friend Mike Wolf said it on the other show. The Yankees, weeks ago by the way, the Yankees are going to have to play small ball this year, which is something that no one really thinks the Yankees are a team that's capable of doing. But if they do play small ball, I see the Yankees as being just as good of a team as they've been in years, and possibly making the playoffs. It's 2 weeks, so we
The
can't
focus
say.
should be small ball, but so far they're hitting
They're hitting home
second
runs.
in home runs. Yeah,
I hate Kevin Youkilis for all his years in the Red
Yeah.
Sox, but
He's
playing well for the Yankees, so I gotta like it.
Come September, they might be playing wheelchair ball. They're really old, the Yankees.
They are
you know,
old.
so
They're pretty old.
They're old. They're old. You can't argue
All right,
that.
but that's gonna do it for our fourth quarter. We're gonna come back with our overtime topic, and talk a little bit about the Masters. Stay tuned. Welcome back for our overtime segment. For our overtime segment today, we're going to get into a little golf and talk about the Masters. An American tradition that has gone on for years is happening this weekend down at Augusta National. So let's talk about our thoughts on the Masters. Dylan, what do you got for us?
There's other great stories. I want Tiger to win. The other great stories, you got the hovercraft ride and Bubba Watson trying to defend his title. You got lefty Phil Mickelson. He's always a fan favorite. And then you got the 14-year-old Tin Lin Wan. I believe that's how you say his name. He's 14 years old. He's playing the Masters right now. I don't care about any of that. Golf's at its best when Tiger is winning majors. He hasn't won since 2008. I want to see it happen. And he's 4 strokes back right now, which isn't great, but he shot a 70. In the 4 Masters that Tiger's won, in 3 of those, his first round score was a 70. So that's a great sign right now, and hoping Sunday we see Tiger get his 5th green jacket.
Phenomenal sign. Megan, what do you got for us?
All right. I don't know much about golf, unfortunately. Just like Steve and Dylan don't know much about NCAA basketball. But
Wow.
so I just like to see Tiger Woods back in the sport and back on top because of all the media attention he got a few years ago. He actually beat out 9/11 on the New York Times for as many views, or as many front page views. So it's nice to see him like back on top and like not in a negative way, but in a positive way and in the sport that he knows. And like Dylan said, it's nice to see like him going with a 70 in the first round because it shows that he's focused. And hopefully we can see more from him.
All right, Steve.
Why is a pompous adulterer America's sweetheart? Why is everyone rooting for Tiger Woods? I want to see Sergio Garcia win his first major. This guy hasn't won a major. He's been a solid golfer for years on tour. I want to see the guy finally win something. Either that or another good young player like Ricky Fowler, who had a good opening round, or maybe Rory McIlroy will come out of hiding and he'll pick it up. But I'm excited. I like watching the Masters, but I'd like to see Sergio Garcia hold on.
I particularly love watching the Masters. I'm a big golf fan. I fell asleep while I was watching it yesterday, but that's because it goes on for like 8 hours. But Sergio Garcia was leading after the first round. Tiger Woods, he played back to how, as Dylan said, he shot a 70. Good for him. Expectations coming into this year's Masters, though, was that Rory McIlroy is going to kill it. He, played he played all right yesterday, but not to what everybody's standards. The big story that Dylan also mentioned, this 8th grader kid who's just tearing it up. He shot a 73, which I'd probably shoot a 150, and I'm 20 years old. This kid's 6 years younger than me. I have to be a little envious because he's killing it right now in the Masters, and I'm here doing UA overtime. He's playing golf.
I'd rather be doing UA overtime. There's no other place I'd rather be.
There's no place I'd rather be than UA overtime.
I'd rather be at Augusta National.
Probably.
But that being said, we're going to go into our final thought. So, Dylan, start it off for us.
My final thought is on Kevin Kolb. He signed with the Bills earlier this week, and he said he signed with the Bills because it's the best chance to win, and he's here to win a Super Bowl. Kevin Kolb, shut up. Arizona traded big draft picks for you, gave you a huge contract, and teamed you up with Larry Fitzgerald, and you didn't do anything. And now you're going to the Bills, and you're going to win a Super Bowl? They haven't made the playoffs in 13 years. Ride the bench, because after they draft a good quarterback, you're going to be on the bench. You're going to be the backup. Ride the bench, take your paycheck, and shut up. You're a scrub.
All right, nicely said. I'm going to talk about a positive point. Brianna Stewart, a teammate that I had in high school, was named the most outstanding player in the NCAA. She plays for UConn. And Rick Pitino said it himself when he was interviewed by Doris Burke. He has never seen a freshman that good. And she was the difference maker in her game. So just shout out to her, and we're really excited to see how far she's going to go and how developed she's going to become.
That's awesome.
All right, and Steve.
My thought is off Dylan's thought. Kevin Kolb might win a Super Bowl with the Bills, but as a backup, because my Final thought is on Ryan Nassib, quarterback out of Syracuse. I watched the John Gruden quarterback camp the other night, and I think this kid's legit. He's got a strong arm. He's athletic. In the NFL, they love the read option quarterbacks. Now he can do some of those things. He's got a rocket arm. He's pretty accurate. If he improves his decision making, I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. And if he's sitting there when the Bills have that pick in the second round, they better snatch him up.
Better than Kevin Cobb. Say that.
All right. That's it for the show, everyone. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at UA_overtime. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Love you, Andy Pettit.